Hello, salam, shalom, namaste, sat sri akal, aloha, hola, ciao, bonjour, buna, privyet, mabuhay, and jean dobre. I am so happy to be back with you guys, and I know you'll be really, really happy you've joined us today because we have a very cool guest with us, and it's Sam Ritchie, who reads oracle cards and specializes in space clearing from floor plans. If you're not sure what that means, don't worry. In just a moment, Sam will tell us all about what she does. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you, and I'm so excited to learn from you because I was telling you, Sam, that I have a little bit of sense of you know, our sense of knowledge or knowing about this whole area of specialization that you have, but I don't know too much, but I love to learn and I'm so excited to learn from you. So talking about that, please tell us more about who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I was always, as a child, able to see spirits and things that people couldn't see. And in fact, I thought it was quite normal. It wasn't until I was in my 20s and someone said, no one else can see that woman in the corner, right? Like, no, I thought everyone could. And I was terrified of humans. I used to hide if the doorbell went. I was much happier in the spiritual world. Um, so that's how it's always been part of who I am. It's just me. And then worked as an estate agent and I was able to sell properties that had been stuck on the market. And I had no idea why. If I came across a spirit, I'd move them on. And I know that sounds simplistic, but for me, that's how easy it is. Um, and I still didn't think anything of it. Roll on a few years, 2 kids later, we moved home and I knew there was no spirits in the house, but it had a really heavy, dark energy, not helped by the black bedroom. um, and I said to a friend, I know there's nothing here, but the energy is so heavy. It's like it's tiring just being in this space. And she said, oh, you want a space clear? I was like, oh, what? I'd never heard of it. What is that? And it was before the internet was like it is now, and you can just type in space clearing and loads of stuff comes up. There was none of that back then. So I set about the house we were living in, clapping with joss sticks and with the intention to clear the energy. As I did that, all of this history started to show itself to me.
Mm,
And it was not very pleasant, but it was like very interesting. So I said to my friends, and I saw this and I saw that and I saw the other. And she's like, you do realize most people don't see anything when they space clear. Well, of course, for me, it was totally normal and I didn't know what to expect. So I was like, no. So then every house after that, every house that we've lived in, and we've lived in a lot, I space cleared. And if a friend had a bad smell that would come and go, I'd go and space clear. If they had things moving, I'd go space clear. If they couldn't sell their house, I'd go space clear. So, but it was a hobby and not something that I did on a weekly basis. And then in 2020, I was working in a kitchen in a restaurant, and then lockdown happened, and I suddenly didn't have a job,
mm,
which for me was a blessing because it meant that I had time to dive into the spiritual stuff more. You know, my kids were older, they were more self-sufficient, and so I could delve into the spiritual stuff. So I took a course with Carl Gray and became an oracle card reader,
mm,
giving guidance to people. And I did a lot, hundreds of free readings, because people were just desperate for guidance of some description at that point. And then people started to want to pay me. And I was like, hmm, I could actually feed my family doing what I love to do. So I set up a website and I put space clearing on it, thinking that it would be a small part of what I did,
Mm.
because you've got to be near me in rural Spain, you've got to be spiritually minded or have a huge problem. So, it's going to be a small part. And then something quite amazing happened. A friend contacted me. I'd space cleared their holiday home in Spain some 10 years before, totally forgotten I'd done it. And she said, Sam, I've got a real big problem with a tenant. I inherited this property from my grandparents and it needs essential maintenance work and the tenants won't let me in. Can you space clear it from a floor plan and an address?
Mm.
I don't know, but I'll have a go.
Yeah.
And so I just, right, how do I do this? Right. I just follow my intuition. I do it the same way, just tweaked to do it from a floor plan. So I started drawing out the floor plan and this information started arriving. Grandparents' names, Christmas party, the spirit stuck on the stairs, all of this information started to pop in. It's like, okay, so I don't need to be in there physically to get the messages. But the best thing was within 24 hours, she phoned and said, the tenants have let me in, they've agreed the builders can do the work and everything's set to go. I was like, okay, this works then. And since then, it's become my main focus. And
Mm.
I am sure there's other people out there doing it,
Yeah.
but I don't know who they are. You know, there's not many of us doing it.
Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode. Hope you're getting value out of it. For your information, this episode has been sponsored by the Happiness 101 program. Are you a change maker, coach, trainer, or healer? Are chains of fear holding you back from making the impact and income you desire? Using a unique combination of positive psychology and the spiritual wisdom of our most effective change makers, the Happiness 101 program helps you break through your limiting beliefs and manifest the abundance and success you desire with fun and ease. Interested? Book a free Happiness 101 exploration call with me, your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Just use my online calendar link in the show notes. Now, back to the show. Yeah, yeah. You know, it's really when I was saying that I have just a little bit of insight into this kind of thing, it's been in the context of learning energy healing, in the context of learning Reiki healing, and just some of my teachers that I've been learning Reiki with will say things like, "Oh, just channel energy to all the rooms in your house, all the different spaces in your house, and it helps to just if there's any negative energy, remove the negative energy, if and just bring in more positive energy." Sometimes they'll also say, "Oh, if you want to channel to a certain object to clear that off negative energy, you can do that." And sometimes you can channel to an object to make it a channel of, um, like, so that that object begins to channel energy um, for you, and that's like meant as like a just a way to sort of like help maintain a positive energy around your home. So that's sort of like the extent to which I mean, we never dug into deep discussions about what it is, how it works, why it works, things like that. But I know that this that was my introduction to the idea at least of, okay, there is such a thing as energy, first of all, in terms of, you know, uh, something that is impacting us, impacting our health, impacting our well-being. And it's not always in a context of something that we can see and, with our, or hear and, those kind of sensory datas. And it's not necessarily something that, you can go to a doctor and they can figure out for you, like that kind of
No.
thing. Um, and the thing is, like, even if we don't understand a lot about why something is working, how something is working, the thing is, if you experience it working, then you're still like, okay, it works.
Yeah, because I don't know about you, but I don't know how electricity works.
Yeah.
I don't know how the internet works. Right? But we're using both right now to our benefit.
Right,
So we
right.
don't have to understand everything. You
Mm-hmm.
know, in fact, it's impossible for as a human being to understand everything. But if we understand from the viewpoint of everything is energy, everything has a vibration.
Yeah.
You know, when you walk into a place, we've all done it. We've walked into a place and it can be a stunning place,
Mm,
but we don't like it.
mm.
We don't feel comfortable. And we can walk into another place and it might need a good clean. Yet we just feel at home,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We're picking up the energies. As I see it, I believe we're all energy and we're all connected, right?
Uh,
So if we're all energy and everything else is energy, then it stands to reason that a property or an object would hold negative energy as well as positive,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So if you think of it as a piece of clay, the biggest handprint leaves the biggest energetic mark.
Sorry, what was the word you used? The biggest.
So the handprint leaves an
Oh, hand.
energetic mark in the
Ah,
property or the item.
yes, yes, yes. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Because it's like, you know, as much as we try, what's the most things that go around in our head? It's the negative memories that I should have done that. I could have not, rather than I could have done that. It's I
Yeah.
should have done that. Why did I do that? It's the negative memories, the things that cause us pain that replay. And it's the same for a property. It's that those negatives stick easier, unfortunately, than the positives. What space clearing does is get rid of the negative to enhance the positive. So
Mm,
you walk in and you're like, I'm at home.
mm.
I feel calm. I feel nice. I feel at peace.
Yeah. You just made me think about one of my Reiki teachers, and one time he was like, be careful about how much like negative horror drama kind of stuff you watch even on TV and things like that, because, like, for example, if you're watching a lot of horror or dramatic kind of movies or TV shows, etc. Actually, even that, according to him, he was saying that that still has an impact in terms of the energy of your space. And I mean, of course, it impacts your personal energy. If you're watching these kinds of, I mean, there's a certain level of enjoyment, of course. There's a certain level of stimulation that you receive you that you like, but it's like, it's not like it's going to make you feel happy and joyful, right? Which
No,
is very different in terms of our energy than feeling entertained, or in other uh, contexts. And so of course it impacts our energy, but it can also impact like the the energy of your space as a whole, your home.
Yeah. And also because we leave energetic marks wherever we go. So
Mm,
like if you're watching the news a lot, I'm not saying don't be informed, although, they only tell us what they want us to hear, but they never tell us good stuff, do they?
yeah.
Right? So that lowers our vibration and puts us into a state of fear a lot of the
Mm,
time, especially the news,
yeah.
right? And that lowers our vibration, and we are leaving parts of our energy wherever we go. So
Mm,
if we're consuming our mind by the news, by horror films, by real life crimes, right?
yeah.
Even if you enjoy it, I'm not saying don't do it, do what you want, right? But what we're doing is lowering our vibration
Yeah.
and our energy. And then we are leaving parts of that energy all over the place.
Mm,
I work regularly with a hotel because they have so many people going in and out. And I've worked with a businessman as well, because they have so many people going in and out of their industrial plant that you can't, we're not responsible for other people's energy, right?
yeah.
But we do feel their energy. You
Yeah.
know when someone's off,
Mm,
right? You can feel it. You can cut the atmosphere with a knife. We say it,
mm,
right? So what we want to do is, okay, what makes us feel good? Rather could I watch something funny rather than watching something fearful,
mm.
right? Because laughter raises your vibration.
Yes. So taking like intentional action, um, hopefully on a daily basis to raise your own vibration, first of all, but also raise the vibration of your space because, every day we end up experiencing negative emotions, we experience challenging times in our life. And so, these things, like if you're not uplifting yourself, your energy, not clearing the energy in your space in an intentional way on a regular basis, things can really build up for you, and then that has its own impact. Then you're like carrying all this stuff with you.
Yeah, and half of it isn't your stuff. We're collecting other people's. But we are humans, right? And as such, we have both the light and the dark, the positive and the negative, right? So we need these things for the human experience.
Hmm.
But what we don't need to do is to drown in the negativity.
Yeah.
But on my website and my YouTube video channel, there is free clearing your energy and protecting your energy
Mm,
um, meditations, because it's really important to protect your energy, especially if you've got a difficult meeting, someone you don't really want to see, but you've got to see them. We all have these things happen in our lives, right? Things that we have to do, but we don't really want to do. Then if we can protect ourselves in a bubble of protection,
mm,
then it makes it easier. It's
yeah.
still going to be difficult. It's not going to take away all of the difficultness of life. But if we get in the practice of raising our vibration, when these hard things come, it's easier to deal with them.
Yes. You just made me think about in the last few months, um, I was dealing with, one of the things that I do is I volunteer in my city as so our city has a equity and human relations advisory committee, and I volunteer on that committee. Like I'm a member of the committee, and given that we are the equity and human relations advisory committee, what when things are not going very well in the city in terms of like different community parts of our community, they're not getting along, for example. So conflict comes up. You know, some of those matters can get directed to us to help resolve and just make sure that everything's being dealt with in an equitable way and we're moving things towards peace building and so forth. And we have been we were actually working on trying to organize a community conversation on this like really tough, difficult subject for our community to deal with. And there was just like so much negative energy in terms of like people feeling so much fear, so much anxiety, so much stress, but also so much anger. And just, just a lot of negative energy. And um, part of my task was to reach out to the different members of the community and try to build some bridges, like try to talk to them to figure out, okay, what's going on? How can we help? What kind of changes are you looking for? Where can the city step in and actually do something or not? Um, and so I was having to deal with a lot of people who are very highly charged. And it can be really draining
Yeah.
to do that kind of work. And I don't know how I would have survived through it if I didn't have the skills that I do in terms of, being able to manage my own energy. And a lot of it, like for me, just came down to doing a lot of prayer and meditation to just sort of like let go, surrender, surrender, let go of everything.
Yeah, and knowing that it's not your stuff, right? You can help, but it's not all your stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're gonna have feelings with the work you do. You're gonna have feelings on it, but
yeah.
you don't have to take on board everyone else's stuff.
Yes, exactly. I think that has been really, really important um, to understand. And I know, like, there's so many people who are working in fields like different emergency services. There are people who work on, like here in America, there's this concept of hotlines where people in trouble with different kinds of things can call these hotlines. So, for example, there's hotlines for sexual assault survivors, for domestic violence survivors, and other areas also of, like when you're in a suicide prevention hotlines, stuff like that. But also just your nurses, your sometimes other people who are just working in different aid organizations in the nonprofit world. A lot of times they're dealing with a lot of vicarious trauma. Like they're dealing
Yeah,
with people who are in deep trauma, who are going through crises, and you're trying to be there to support them. And it's just, it can really take a toll on you. And there's so much burnout that happens in these kinds of professions, like when
yeah,
people engage in this kind of work. And um, so yeah, I mean, a lot of that is you taking on other people's stuff and not knowing how to let it go.
yeah. So I protect my energy every morning when I have it. Well, I do it multiple times because of the work I do, but every morning when I have a shower, that's when I do my protection. I cut all the cords, all of this stuff that might be holding me back. And I use the angels because I work with the angels a lot
Mm.
to help me do that. And then I imagine that the shower is literally making a bubble of protection around me. As I said, on my YouTube channel or face website, is that the what I use. And
Mm,
once you've done it a couple of times, it's not long. Once you've done it a couple of times, you can do it in the shower too. You know, I'm all for multitasking, right? If I could do two things at the same time, that's all the better for me, which is why I do it in the shower. And also it becomes a habit then and you don't forget,
mm. But the kind,
right? Because you don't forget to wash your hair, do you? Right? So
hopefully not. I
so
know.
if you
Yeah.
if you make it part of that routine, I wash
Yeah.
my hair, I put myself in my protective bubble,
Yeah.
and away you go.
Yeah. When you mentioned you don't forget to wash your hair, it made me think about one of my cousins who's a young, like a new mom, and she actually had twins, and she was like literally talking about how she hasn't had time to take a shower.
No, I remember those
Oh
days. I've got
gosh.
I've got two daughters, and they're only 16 months apart. So
Oh,
I remember that. Am I going to get a shower today? Feeling, but
yeah.
that does pass. You do get to have a shower again.
Yeah. Yeah, so the idea is like anything that you are doing as a regular something for yourself in your daily life, you can incorporate like this additional element to how you're doing it.
Yeah,
So you don't necessarily even need to create special extra time to do these things for yourself. You can sort of incorporate them into your existing
yeah.
routine and just help yourself that way. But I'm wondering if there's like certain kinds of activities that would be better to do. Like the doing it while you're having a shower sounds like a wonderful idea to me. But I'm imagining like, for example, if you were driving, would you want to do
You
something
can,
like that?
you can do it whenever. You
Mm.
can do it while you're driving. You can, obviously do not shut your eyes. Um,
Yeah,
but, but once you get into the habit of it,
yeah,
if you get in the car and you may have done your protection before, but you've had a hard morning and you're just going to another meeting, you can once you know what you're doing and how to do it, and it is short and it's easy,
yeah.
right? So yeah, you can definitely do it while you're driving. You can do it while you're walking. You can do it whenever, right?
Uh, so I was thinking about
Once
from the perspective of like how much attention you might need to give. Because like if I'm like driving, then obviously a major portion of my attention needs to be on driving
the
safely.
road, yes.
Um, but versus like if I'm in the shower, I actually have some time to just relax and there's no major safety concerns that I have to worry about. And so I imagine that in the shower it would be maybe much easier than if I was doing something that might need my
you'd give more of your attention to it.
Mhm.
Um, and that would obviously be better. But if you feel that you've got to
Hmm.
protect your energy because you've had a bad morning, you're going to a difficult meeting, whatever, right? And that is the only time you've got, you can
Yeah.
definitely do it and it will help.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, so if you can do it with more attention and focus, it's better.
Yeah,
But don't discount doing it whenever you can do it.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, got it, got it. Because I know like with some of the different Reiki teachers that I've worked with, for example, they've expressed different opinions in terms, like some of them are inclined to tell you like to be very proper and like you want to make sure you're sitting and relaxed and not doing anything else and follow a proper process and they will even like ritualize um how you sort of engage in the whole process of doing a session um, or like a healing, whether it's on yourself or someone else. And it's like they're like, no, you don't do it at a time when you're doing something else, when you have to do something else. If you're distracted, if your attention is not fully engaged in the process of the healing, because like,
Yeah, but
yeah,
we're talking about protecting your own energy rather than sending out healing.
mm,
But again, I have done that while I'm driving,
mm,
right? Because
yeah,
someone's popped into my head. So it's like, okay,
mm,
I send the angels. Every time an ambulance passes me, I say angels go with them, right? But yeah, when it comes to teachers, I hold space for spiritual circles. I'm just about to start an online one as well. But what I say, you don't have to agree with me,
mm,
right? I'm telling you what is my reality, and it's totally fine if yours is different.
yeah,
And you can, and when I study a lot, I'm like, oh, course, right? Not because I want to work in those areas necessarily, but because I want to get the knowledge,
yeah,
and because I hold space for circle, and we have a topic a week,
yeah,
right? So it's like, okay, I have to learn about what that topic is, even if it's like tiny bit, to be able to start a conversation.
yeah,
It's always like, I don't have to agree with everything
yeah,
that the teachers are saying.
right.
And I'm a strong believer in checking with your intuition,
Mm,
because what's right for me might not be right for you.
right.
And so you pick the bits that make sense to you
Yeah,
from any teacher in any walk of life as well.
that's true. That's true. Yeah. So, just some of the questions I'm asking you is to help me and our audience just more deeply understand these issues, because for a lot of us, for most of us, it's very new area of learning. So some of my questions might seem basic, and I can only ask them from the perspective of, what limited exposure or knowledge I have.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm just going to
Yeah.
stop you there, right?
Yeah.
The only silly question is the one not asked,
Yeah. I totally
right? There is no
get that.
silly question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. So, yeah. So, uh, so you mentioned, like just being able to, like, for example, send a quick prayers or asking the angels to help, etc. Um, so part of what I'm learning from you is that it can be like what you're doing in terms of, or what you can do in terms of just putting, um, um, getting some, clearing your energy, or putting some protection around you, that it's like it can be really simple and easy and quick things. It doesn't always
Yes.
have to be like, or isn't always about, oh, I'm going to do some kind of a meditation or extended prayer or whatever.
No, yeah, but it's about bringing in spirituality to your everyday life, right? You can't space clear your house in that way. You can't do an oracle card reading in that way, right? You need to concentrate on those things.
Mm,
But you can, like, when you see something that makes you think of someone, you can ask your angels to go and help them,
mm,
right? You can, these things you make a regular occurrence during your day. Don't have to be like, okay, I want to send distant healing. I'm going to sit here and meditate and send distant healing. Yeah, that's brilliant. But we live in a time where we're at 300 miles an hour all the time.
yeah.
So if someone drops in your head and you think, oh, they need healing, call
Mm,
the angels, ask them to go.
mm.
And they will. Thank you, angels, for going to help whoever.
Yeah.
And it's about making it, in my opinion, spirituality is about making an effort to do something to help others or yourself
Mm,
on a regular basis. And it doesn't have to be, I sit down for 20 minutes to meditate. It can be, I'm going to wash up.
Mm.
but I'm not going to have any music on. I'm not going to have the TV on. But that is meditative. I'm
Ye-
going to sit in the garden. I'm going to go for a walk, but with no noise,
Mm.
right? So with no TV, no radio, no
Yeah.
CD playing,
Yeah.
and use that. What am I thinking? Where's my head going? What
Yeah.
do I need to get clear in my head? But you can do that by cleaning your house.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. And so also like what you just said about like for you, spirituality is a lot about helping, taking some time to help others, help yourself. I really appreciate that perspective. Can you tell me a little bit more about what spirituality means to you?
Spirituality means to me having a connection with something higher than myself.
Mm.
Right. So I work with the angels and they are arguably the heartbeat of God, right? So they're messengers from God.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we can use, and when I say God, right, we could be talking God, creator, universe, Allah, Buddha, right? A higher being, right? And we are all connected to that. Every single being, every single living energy form on earth is connected to that, whatever name you want to give it.
Mm-hmm.
Being spiritual to me is being able to understand that. Understanding, yes, there's duality. We're not all the same, but we're all part of something that's the same. And
Mm.
we all have the ability to affect the world in a positive way. And as human beings on this planet right now, that's what we need to be doing. How I see it is by space clearing your home, you are removing the negative energy, which is raising the vibration of your property or your object or whatever, right? And by doing that, you're raising your own vibration.
Mm.
And the less fearful we are, the more positive we are, the happier we are, the more we change everyone else,
Yeah.
right? If you think, if someone's in a room crying, right, you can't be with that person for very, well, most people can't be with that person for very long without crying.
Mm.
And say, same if they're laughing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So because we're all connected and we're emotional beings,
Right.
but if we can all take responsibility for us, right? Me, and you, right? Look in the mirror and go, I'm going to be the best me I can be today. I'm not going to fall into the trap of fear. I'm going to raise my vibration. Then as the collective, things start to change and systems that are outdated start to fall apart,
Mm.
not through violence, not through anger, not through fear, but understanding that we are all connected and we are all loving beings at our core,
Mm.
and that this is how we change the world we live in, not by getting your weapons out,
Mm.
right? We change it from
Wow.
a vibrational standpoint.
Yeah.
That's what spirituality means to me.
I really appreciate that perspective. I really do. Um, Makes me want to ask you another question. Um, so again, like just coming from my very limited experience in the context of doing Reiki healing work and learning from some Reiki healing teachers. So like in the context of Reiki healing, we're taught that, you just like, you're not actually doing anything. You're just being a channel
Yeah.
of divine energy and divine love. And it's that divine love, that divine vibration, energy, healing, whatever you want to call it, that is the thing. I mean, it's intelligent in itself, and that is what's doing the healing. So in other words, it's the divine that's doing the healing, not me. I'm just saying, oh God, yes, you can use me. Please use me. I'm happy to be a
Absolutely.
channel, you know? And so I'm imagining that, you're also saying something similar where you're like, it's not me.
No,
They're
it's
tapping
absolutely
into,
not.
yeah,
They just need a human body to
mm,
do the work. It just happens to be me, right?
yeah,
But everyone can space clear their own home. You
mm,
might not see um, the history, but that's fine. You don't need to change the energy.
yeah,
Um, don't do it if you're scared or you've got mental health issues, though, right?
mm,
But we are all connected. We all have the capacity. We all have the capacity to be a channel.
mm,
Every single person, whether you believe or not in anything,
yeah,
um, we all have that capacity.
yeah,
It's like a muscle, right?
yeah,
If I wanted to run a marathon, which I don't, but if I did, I'm going to have to train, right? Because if I try and do it now, I'll be dead before I get to the end of the road,
yeah,
right? I need to build those muscles. I need to build that stamina. And that's
yeah,
just what spiritual work is, reading oracle cards and doing floor plans. It's building that muscle and going, I'm here, I'm willing, I'm able.
yes.
And I'm open. I'm open to you showing me what I need to see about these properties. I'm open to you giving me the insight to help people with the oracle cards.
Yeah. So a lot of the work that you're doing, it's really about, first of all, working on yourself in terms of becoming more open, becoming more receptive to receiving guidance and being then able to share that like in a way that other people can hear it and
Yeah,
see it and feel it. Um, and so just and you're so right. Like for a lot of us, we're not open to like, and I suppose for a lot of us, it's just we're growing up like in the modern world context where things have become so chopped up in our lives in terms of, like like in America, they talk about the separation of church and state. And what that has translated into is a culture where, your life has become very segmented. Even for the people who are religious, who are spiritual, it's like a, a separate part of their life. It's not something that they oftentimes even feel comfortable or safe talking about or expressing, for example, when they're at work or when they are out and about with let's say their friends who may not belong to the same faith tradition or the same spiritual tradition.
isn't this all the way that the fear
Mm,
and the separation? That's what
yes,
you know.
yes,
If you're separate, you're not together,
yes,
and that is conflict,
yes,
right? And
yeah.
the intolerance, this has been programmed into us.
Mm,
It's when I was a kid, both my parents could see spirits. My mum was terrified. So we never spoke about it,
mm,
right? It wasn't talked about. So
yeah,
then you have this like, oh, we can't talk about that and now it's, you can't talk about that because you might offend someone.
mm,
No, we're all one. It's totally fine if you want to go to a church. I have no problem with that, whatever faith you are, right? If it helps you and doesn't hurt anyone,
yeah,
go for it. If
yeah,
it starts to hurt people, then don't you think you should think twice about it? Because,
right.
we are all connected. We are all one.
Yes. Yes, you're so right. This whole thing about fear that causes separation and like happens in so many different ways in our lives. But one of the ways in which, like it happens is that we label people And if you have a label that I don't like, then, it's just immediate, like we don't belong to each other kind of thinking enters,
Yeah,
judgment center, criticism enters, and of course leading um, to conflict, even if it's not like active conflict, it's like
it's still an energetic
yes,
conflict.
it's an energetic conflict. Exactly. There's this tension. Like when I was talking about earlier, the community conversation that I was trying to help organize in our city. For many months, what was happening is that on the surface, everything seemed peaceful, as in no one was doing any demonstrations. There was no public outcry about what was happening in our city and so forth. But like you could feel the tension. And when you move, like I'm one of those people who's like a natural, what you might call a border crosser. So I'm like moving in different spaces, connecting with different parts of the community. And so I noticed that, like when I was with this part of my community in the city, like when they and people were like, okay, we are all from, this part of the community. We all identify with this label. So then you talk differently, right? And you air your concerns and you're like, oh yeah, this is a huge problem. But but the people that we were having the problem with, you're like, no one was talking to them. And when I crossed over into that other side of the community, the same thing was happening where when they were on their own or with people that they felt safe with, they were expressing all kinds of concerns and issues and problems that they were having. But again, there was no talking to each other. And so there was all of this tension that was actually brewing and conflict that was brewing. But on the surface, things seemed calm. And when the first voices started to come up and say, hey, we need to do something, we need to talk, a lot of people are like, you're just creating a problem where there is none. We don't have a problem.
Yeah,
But it was just like an avoidance thing. And people are just really um, not wanting to deal with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Whereas if we all just said, okay, you believe what you want to believe, that's fine. Don't try and change my mind. Let you do you, I'll do me, and let's agree to differ, you know. But that's not the society we live in
Mm.
any country at the moment.
Yeah, that's and so but in this kind of context with some energy healing work, with some
It helps.
it helps, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it helps because we're raising a vibration. We're not
Yeah.
stuck in that story.
Yes.
If you're living in a house where there's been a murder, for example, or even a lot of arguing,
Mm,
right? That is going to make you, oh, it's not going to turn you into a murderer, but it's going to make you angry. It's going to make you frustrated. It's going to
yeah.
not help you
Mm,
in any way, shape, or form. If we can remove that, at least
yeah.
you're not coming from a place where you're at least your home feels safe, right?
Right. Yes.
So yeah, outside, yeah, you're still going to have to deal with other people and other people's stuff and the energies of other homes, but at least at home you'll feel safe.
Mm.
At home you'll be calm. At home you're not surrounded by negativity unless you turn TV on. Right?
Yes. Yes.
And that raises the vibration of
Yeah.
everyone and the effect of the planet.
Right. And like the example that you gave of like when your uh, friend called you and they're like, oh, my tenants are not letting me in, and you do a space clearing from a distance, and then they become more open to, letting their landlord in. And so,
Yeah,
it's like something shifted and the energy, something lightened, something, became more
yeah.
positive.
And
And so it
all of
changed their
my work,
mindset also.
yeah, and all of my work is for the greatest good of all,
Yeah,
right? And I program the house to be happy, healthy, and abundant
yeah,
for all of those, for anyone entering it.
yeah. Oh,
But it's always for the greatest good of all.
yeah.
Because on the surface, what I might, from a human viewpoint, think is for the greatest good might not. So
Mm,
if I say for the greatest good of all,
yes,
the universe,
yes,
my angels, they know better than I do.
yeah,
So they're going, okay, she just wants the best outcome for everyone. So we'll
yeah,
do that.
yes. Oh, that's such a powerful insight and such a wise perspective that you've just shared. And again, it goes back to the idea of like, it's not about me really. Like, I'm some great, powerful human being that is, making all of this um, happen. But it's about trusting the divine, trusting the like you said, the higher power, or the universe, the whole that we are parts of, and letting it work through us,
Yeah,
and just
definitely.
being open to being that channel, open to receiving the guidance and just acting on it. So it's really, again, not about me.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. As I said, I'm on a mission to get people space clear in their own homes.
Mm.
Yeah, if they, I'd need to eat, so I'd quite like some customers.
Yeah.
But if you space clear, that I'm sorted, it's fine. I'm busy enough. But it's, everyone has the ability.
Yeah.
I am not a guru. I am not anyone special.
Yeah.
I'm just me. And I just happen to be more connected than a lot of people, not everyone.
Yeah.
Um,
Like you have
and,
the awareness, yeah, and you are willing to follow it, follow the to cultivate the awareness that you had.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I mean, not just at the level of, other for people to understand that, oh yeah, not only is this something all of us have the capacity to do and learn, but to really like to understand that like I mean, for me, a huge lesson of spirituality is to sort of um let go of our arrogance and our pride, like that, and arrogance and pride that makes us believe we are better than others, because like, especially from a Muslim perspective, that is one of the biggest root causes of why we have our human problems, is when we have this kind of bad arrogance, bad pride that makes us think we're better than others. Then the people we think we are better than, we're willing to oppress them. We're willing to act in ways that, you're like, oh, it doesn't matter if that person gets hurt. If that, if I, like, like, if, like, you're just willing to step on people because you don't,
yeah.
they're not as important as you. They're not, whatever, you're better
No,
than them. So,
but if everyone in the world realized that, yes, we're different, but we are all connected.
Yes.
What I see in you that I don't like is a reflection back of what I see in me.
Yeah.
That's a hard one,
Yeah.
right? I had this problem with someone that I thought was judgmental, and then I suddenly realized, oh my God, I'm the one who's being judgmental. I'm being judgmental because they're judgmental.
Yeah.
I need to stop that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
had this
if
problem too.
we can if we can see it like that, if we
Yes.
can, we wouldn't have any conflict if people go, you know what, we're all one, we're all
Yeah.
the same, we
Yeah.
are different, we're unique, we're amazing as we are,
Yeah.
but we're all this connected. So
Yes.
why are we fighting?
Yeah.
Why are we fighting? Let's work together.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's quite a lot of people that would need to rethink things for that to happen. But
Yeah.
what amazing.
And sometimes, find myself surprised by how much of a difference it makes when you recognize someone as being connected to you versus when you don't recognize them as being connected to you. Because I'm like, but it's just how it is. It's just part of such a core aspect of human psychology. When you feel connected to someone, you treat them differently. You do. And the different treatment is also better treatment. So not
Yeah,
only do you treat them differently, you treat them better. And the more connected you feel with someone, the more empathy you have for them, the more compassion you have for them, the better you treat them, the more out of your way you're willing to go to help them, and take care of them, etc. And so much of it is just comes down to how much you feel connected with someone. And it's just like, for me, it's just like such a, like, I'm like, why does it take uh, that feeling of connection um, for us to be willing to be good to each other? But I don't know. I don't fully understand why that is the case, but that is how it seems to work.
yeah. Well, it's probably dating way back when there was tribes and it was for survival, I'm guessing. But then it's been built in with how we've been raised and brought up. And it's also the fear of the unknown. Well, I don't totally understand their religion, so it must be something to be fearful of,
Yeah.
rather than, okay, I'll ask the question.
Mm, mm.
Right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Like in the past, like first of all, there were way fewer people in the world. Just, we're now 8 billion humans alive all at the same time in the world. We have never had this much population density on Earth in the history of our planet. And part of what happens with the population density, but also with, as we have advanced technologically, travel has become more easy, movement across continents, across countries, across nations has become more easy. And so you actually are seeing like all of these societies, like in America, for example. America is a country that is basically came about because of immigration, right? I mean, there were obviously always some indigenous people here, but they were like a small population size. And like America, the way that we are now, we are a country of immigrants primarily. And like in terms of the population demographics, there's very few people who can claim indigenous um, uh, roots to this continent, to this land. The vast majority of people who live here now have come here in some cases many generations ago. But even so, they've come here from other lands, and so we have ended up with this society that's so diverse. You know, you literally have like people from all different parts of the world who are now here in this one place, and now we are oftentimes interacting with these such different people or seemingly different people for the first time in our lives. And so, yeah, there is a lot of fear of the unknown.
Yeah, and as you say, but people forget,
Yeah,
right, that most Americans are not originally, if they go back far enough in their history, they're not American
exactly.
originally.
That's exactly what I meant. Yeah.
But doesn't that take the fear away when you have something go, oh, hang on a minute, I know I'm an immigrant, right? I live in Spain. I know I'm an immigrant, right? I have no illusion. But am I really English?
Mm,
As far as I can see from my family tree, yes. But, you know,
yeah.
and how many people can say that? And with America, it's very easy to go back to the what's it called?
Uh,
The boat that they
I
came
think.
over on.
Yeah. The Mayflower?
Mayflower, that's it. I knew it was May something,
Yeah.
right? But my understanding is it's really easy to research back to there.
I think for some people it is. So it's like very, so like, for example, the African American community here, it's not easy for them because they were like
No,
literally kidnapped and
yeah, exactly.
like brought here forcefully. And people the people who enslaved them deliberately did everything they could to destroy their history, to destroy any records of, their sense of anything that could give them a sense of independent identity and so forth, and so for certainly people in the Black community, it's actually an aspect of the trauma that they continue to deal with, that they're,
Yeah, because they're dealing with hereditary trauma.
yes,
They're dealing with DNA trauma that's been carried down through generations.
ye-
However, they can now with the DNA kits and stuff, it's easier to find, okay, so originally my people came from there.
yes. So in some ways you can begin to discover
Yeah,
like what part of the world you came in and stuff. But there's, it's still not the same as like, for me, I feel really lucky being in the family that I am, because my family, well, my parents' generation, and myself, my generation, we have now moved. We are living in America, and it's the fourth country that we're living in. But like I feel really lucky because my parents had a firm sense of, not just sense of, but knowledge of his family's histories, and where our family comes from. And they gave that to me. They passed on a lot of that knowledge to me. And so I have a really, even though we have moved around, um, and so forth, I still feel very firmly rooted in a sense of knowing who I am, where I come from, where my family comes from. And and for me, I used to take that for granted. But when you talk to people who don't have that same uh,
yeah.
knowledge and that understanding and the privilege of knowing where they come from, you begin to realize, oh, this is actually a great blessing that I have received in my life, to have that knowledge and to have that sense of rootedness in knowing who I am and where I come from. Because
And traditions as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because a lot of these African countries, you know, they were deeply spiritual,
mhm,
deeply spiritual. And that's been lost along the way. And
Yes.
the Native Americans the same.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, so much of the loss that happened, it was like deliberately inflicted, like people deliberately destroyed aspects of their culture, deliberately destroyed institutions that were meant to
Because
serve
they were
them.
inferior again.
Yes.
They didn't understand. So what do you do?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what we can do, we can clear the energy as
Mhm.
much as possible.
Yes. So here,
And
yeah.
people taking individual responsibility for themselves and their energy. And
Yeah.
also, doing the generational trauma work.
Mm,
Remove the DNA trauma that you've inherited from your grandparents, your great grandparents, your
yeah.
great grandparents.
Yes.
And there's loads of that is not what I do, but there is loads of people that can help with that.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. You keep bringing up so many amazing, just like insights and things that I want to keep digging deeper into. And I'm realizing, oh my gosh, I've kept you way longer than I told you I would. Oh gosh. You better wrap up for today. Do you have any last thoughts, for right now?
No, if you want to contact me or read more about space clearing, the case studies, and how to do it in my book, Echoes Within Walls, which is available on all digital platforms and bookshops worldwide. It tells you how to do it. Or find me on social media or on my website. Everything's Sam Angel Guide.
Yay, awesome. Thank you so much, Sam.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, for my last reminder, I will just encourage all of you who are listening to please make sure you check the show notes because we will drop Sam's links in there so you can be sure you're connecting with the right Sam so you can continue to learn and get the help and support you need whenever you're ready for it. And until we connect next time, I just wish you lots and lots of peace and joy.